Hi, Mom. Welcome to Irene Custom Yoga Practice. Dad, if you're there too, namaste. All right. So, if you remember, Mom, we started in extended child's pose. So, I have the blanket here, which you should get out to put underneath your knees. Um, but don't forget that you can also have a second blanket that you can roll up and you can bring that behind your knees just to offer yourself a little support. So I'm just kind of sticking them in between my knees, and then I'm widening my knees as wide as the yoga mat, and then I'm coming down, 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 all the way down, crown, or the forehead comes to the mat. So nice and low. So remember, your big toes come together, your knees are wide for extended child's pose, and the blanket is resting underneath your knees. If you don't like the blanket, you can always roll it up and put it under your belly and start to take some nice deep breaths. So working on inhaling and exhaling a little at a time, lengthening out each breath cycle. And the goal here is to inhale nice and deep into the belly so that you feel the muscles in the back of the body stretch, right? So you really want your belly to expand as you inhale. So try to breathe all the way down, down low into the pelvic floor. Inflate, and then exhale. Allow yourself to just relax. So you're going to stay in that pose. I'm going to go get my timer. I forgot the timer. Let's just hang here with Eric for a moment. And then from your extended child's pose, you're going to place your hands on the mat, start to lift up through the upper body. So use your hands to push away from the mat as you do this so that you come up nice and slow. And just move your second blanket out of the way. And you're just going to bring your knees hip width apart. Make sure the feet are also hip width apart, and stack your wrists underneath your shoulders. And then from here, drop the belly down, send the heart forward, and exhale, curl it in, chin to chest, knee with the spine. So just take a couple of cat cows here. Continuing with this nice, easy breath. Inhaling as you drop the belly down and send the heart forward, send your gaze forward. And exhale, curl everything in, bringing the navel up toward the ceiling, dropping the head down, tucking the chin. Awesome. You're going to curl your toes. I'm going to take my socks off. Curl your toes. And still in tabletop, you're going to curl the toes, and then you're just going to slowly send the sit bones back so that the sit bones are resting on your heels. So either you're going to come up like so, and you can always use a block here for support. So you're up like this, or if that's too intense, maybe you're just on the elbows here. So this is a good stretch for the arches of the feet and for the balls of the feet. Notice if the feet are kind of crunching together, if you can reach behind you and just bring some space between each of your toes by kind of jamming your thumb in between and just kind of spreading them out. Go ahead and do that. And again, you're either down on your elbows, but if you can get up nice and tall, even for a moment or two, where you're just kind of like chilling like a villain here, breathing nice and deep. And say hi to Eric. Breathe, breathe. And then we're going to come all the way back down, and we're going to turn onto our booty. Okay, so switching onto the booty here. Feet are right in front of you and the knees are bent. Okay, so we're going to set the feet hip width apart, and we're going to start to lift up nice and tall through the spine. So notice if you're kind of hollowed out here, you're going to lift your heart almost like somebody has a little string on your shirt and they're pulling from above. So lift your heart, and your hands are going to come behind the knees. So you can bring the hands together, grabbing onto opposite wrists or your forearms if you want, and then just bring the toes to the mat, lifting the heart up. So a little modified boat pose. Depending on how you're feeling today, maybe you lift the shins parallel to the ceiling, so you're just grabbing on underneath to support your boat. You can even bring your hands underneath you, under one knee and one under the other knee, so that there's a little less support. So just depending on how you're feeling. If you're feeling tired, then you're just kind of grabbing underneath. You can even have the toes on the mat. If you're feeling energetic, maybe you had a good night's sleep, you can just try one hand under one knee, one hand on the other. Keep lifting the heart. So the test here is, can I lift my heart, right? So if you feel like you can't and you're starting to slouch, that's okay, right? But just use a bit more support in that case. So just taking a moment here in boat pose, getting the core warmed up. You can take this opportunity to twirl your ankles if your feet are actually elevated off the mat. Point and flex the toes. Kind of keep your mind occupied, but keep thinking heart lifts, heart lifts. So the moment you kind of forget that, that's when you start to cave. So nice straight back. And then we're going to bring the feet down onto the yoga mat. Maybe sit back a little toward the back of your yoga mat so you can extend your legs all the way down. So the toes are going to be flexed, pointed up toward the ceiling. And you're going to find this nice tall spine here. So you can even get a little bit of energy in the quads here by just flexing the quads to help you sit up nice and tall. Pull the navel in toward the spine, up toward the diaphragm. Really roll those shoulders back. So notice they're rolled forward. You're rolling them back so that the spine is like a staff, right? Like a stick. Looking straight ahead. Heart is lifting. Gaze is straight ahead. Flex those toes. And then on your next inhale, take it all the way up. Exhale, let the fingers rain down behind you. And inhale, lift. And exhale, let the fingers rain down behind. And one more time, lift. And exhale, fingers rain down behind. So still sitting up nice and tall. We're going to roll through the shoulders. You're going to inhale. I'm going to turn this way, actually. You're going to inhale, bring the shoulders up to the ears. Exhale, bring them back. Let the shoulder blades slide down the back body. So as you bring the shoulders back, really squeeze the shoulder blades together here. You're still sitting up nice and tall, so you're using your core strength. breathing with this roll. Inhale, lift. Exhale, lower the shoulders down. Let's do 2 more rounds here. Good job, Eric. Good job, Mom.
Thank you, Kelly.
Good job, Dad, if you're there. And then we're
Way
gonna
to go.
And then we're gonna inhale, lift the arms all the way up. Exhale, we're gonna twist right. Hands are gonna land down at your side. Inhale, lift up nice and tall through the spine. Feet are still flexed. So inhale, lift up through the spine. Exhale, find a tiny little micro twist as you breathe the air out. All right, and then we're gonna come all the way back. Inhale to center, lift the arms all the way up. Exhale, turn left. Hands land at your side. Inhale, lift up, stack up nice and tall through the spinal column. Exhale, find a little micro twist as you breathe that air out. So push that air out and tiny, tiny twist. And exhale, we'll come all the way back to center. Inhale, lift the arms all the way up. And exhale, we're going to start to fold. So remember, as you're folding, you can add a prop, right? This is where you can bring the blanket under the knees to support the knees. You can also, since you have blocks, bring a block underneath you just to kind of come down on a block. It can feel really nice. You know, you can even bring it onto your thighs here and just pop your chin on the block. That's a nice way to chill. But the main thing is to tuck the chin here and start to check in with the breath, right? So we're going to be here for a few moments. So tuck the chin in, deep belly breathing. So return to that deep inhale, breathing all the way down to the pelvic floor. So inflate the belly, let all of that extra space help to stretch the muscles of the back body, and then exhale. And as you exhale, maybe you can fall a little deeper. So maybe with each exhale, you kind of play with how low you can bring your head toward your knees. And remember, every day is different. So if you're up here, no worries. It's better for you to be in a pose that feels like you're getting a good stretch, but you're not hurting, because that's really what's going to allow the muscles to relax and for the stretch to get deep, deep into that muscle tissue. So it's Yin Yoga, remember. We're not trying to break any records here. And then we'll start to roll up nice and slow. So remember, you take it easy, nice and slow. If you had a prop underneath your knees, you're just going to remove that and you're going to bring the pads of your feet together. So taking a moment in this cobbler's pose, you can always use the blanket here as well if the knees feel tight. So you're just taking the blanket like a long snake. You're going to place the blanket over top of your feet and then tuck the blanket in each side underneath your legs just to give you a bit of support. And maybe you start to grab onto your feet or your ankles, sitting up nice and tall. I'm going to take the blanket out because it doesn't feel quite good for me, but it might feel good for you. So I encourage you. All right, so nice and tall. Remember, the heart is going to lift. So just like you were doing in the boat pose, you're going to lift your heart, tuck your chin, breathe nice and deep. So with your chin tucked, you're just going to start to gently roll your head. So bring your left ear over to your left shoulder. Keep that heart lifting. So spine is nice and straight here. Left ear to left shoulder. Find that deep stretch on the right side. If you really want to get into the front of those neck muscles on the right side, you can send your head back a little. But, depends on how the neck is feeling. You can just keep ear over shoulder. Try to relax the shoulders. So notice if they're kind of crunching up to your ears. That'll do you no good. So keep lifting that heart up, grabbing onto your ankles. And then we're just going to roll the head through center. Bring the right ear to the right shoulder. Kind of notice how that feels on the left side. Maybe you send your head back a bit, bringing into the front neck muscles on the left side. Maybe not. You can even tuck your chin in. That can feel quite nice too. It's kind of playing around with it, or just keeping ear over shoulder. Sweet. And then we're going to come back to center with the head. And we're going to take our left leg and extend it all the way out. Right foot is in by the pubic bone. All right. So again, sitting up nice and tall, notice if that shift made you move. Remember, you can always pop a blanket underneath that right knee just to give yourself a bit of support if it's just kind of hanging there and it doesn't feel so good. So sitting up nice and tall, pull up through the spine, tall, tall, tall spine. Inhale, lift the arms all the way up. Remember, you're right through center here. So you're staring straight ahead. And then on your exhale, you're going to twist left and then let the hands rain down opposite sides of your shin, or your calf muscles or your calf on the left side. So this is head to knee, right? You're going to start to draw your forehead down, tuck the chin. Forehead is moving toward your left knee. Really notice what's going on in the right side of the body, right? So this is where the stretch is happening. Notice what's going on, especially in that right hip. Try to soften through the muscles here on the right side. So in the back body here, in your lat area, in the oblique area, and then also around the hip, right? Around that right hip. So it's better that you're up here, right? Not going so deep, tucking the chin in and getting a nice stretch from here than it is for you to force your way down and, have this right knee start to creep up or something like that. So breathing nice and deep here. Maybe with each exhale, it's kind of exploring a little bit more, a little bit further in the stretch, if that feels okay. But always being mindful of where that edge is. So we're looking for that place where it no longer feels like a good stretch. We want to back out of that corner. and just kind of hover on the edge. The left foot is flexed. And this is also another place where you can use your blanket underneath your left knee. You can always kind of just pop it underneath there to give your knee a bit of support, help keep the knee nice and bent, right? So we don't want this left knee to lock out here because that's going to put a lot of stress on the tendons. So if you feel like it's locking out, just add something underneath. I mean, if in a practice like this, you could even have like little face cloths that you just kind of shove there, so you don't have to drag a whole blanket all the way underneath. Just kind of have them handy. And you're just going to gently roll up. Take a moment, come nice and straight, and then take your left hand, place it behind you. Right hand's going to come all the way up and over. So, like you're trying to reach your right or your left foot with your right hand. So, flex that left foot and send the heart. So, start to swivel the heart toward the ceiling, right? Finding a little, so you can be way up here, right? Take that heart, swivel it toward the ceiling, and then you're just reaching that right hand over to the left foot. Of course, you don't have to get anywhere close to that. Really, it's important that you keep that heart swiveling. So rather than going down like this, heart is up. So that's how we're going to get it into the psoas. So you don't have to get that far down with that right hand. And then come all the way back up. We're just going to flip our switch. So we're going to bring the left foot in. Right leg's going to go all the way down the mat, flex through the right toes. I'm just going to move my stuff here so that it's not in our way. All right. So flex through the right toes, sitting up nice and tall. So find your center here, wobble around, make sure the sit bones are rooted onto the yoga mat, lift all the way up. Inhale, lift the arms all the way up, bring that left knee down, and then we're going to turn toward our right foot and start to come down toward the knee. So make sure that the knee, the right knee, when we're in these poses or this pose, the knee is pointed up toward the ceiling. So notice if that right knee kind of wanders all the way over to the right. Same thing on the left, right? You're going to want to make sure that the knee is pointed toward the ceiling. And one way you can do that is to keep the toes flexed, right? So keep the toes pointed toward the ceiling to kind of remind you that that's where that's the alignment of your leg. So you don't want that knee to wander. So the side could be very different. Maybe you feel really tight on the left side today. You're not trying to even it out here. You're really just tucking the chin in, trying to relax the body as much as possible to allow the stretch to unwind. Also, remember you can shove something underneath that right knee for support. So either your blanket, kind of scooted underneath there, or maybe you've got um, some washcloths. Forgetting to flip this. And then you start to gently roll up and come nice and straight through the spine. And then the left hand's going to come all the way up and over to try to reach the right toes. So again, swiveling the heart, turning the heart toward the ceiling and keeping that alignment going, right? So even if you're higher up, no worries, right? You don't want to cave in downward. Keep the breath going. And then we'll come all the way back up. Take a moment to breathe it out because that side body can feel tight, and bring the legs together. So here we're just going to come onto the back of the hands and have the hands behind you. Knees are bent, feet are on the mat, and we're just going to rock side to side. But as you do that, you're going to lift your heart up. So notice if your heart is kind of coming down like this, we want to keep the heart nice and lifted so that this is super easy on the low back. And you might start to creep forward, and that's okay. You can just, lift up, lift the booty up and go back. Just a little counter stretch here. All right. And then from here, we're going to take it into a tabletop again. We're going to bring the elbows, though, down onto the yoga mat. So we're going to stack the elbows underneath the shoulders. So find that alignment first, and then you can bring the hands together. But make sure elbows are aligned with the shoulders and nice and centered here. Make sure the knees are hip width apart. And then from here, we're just going to step back coming into a forearm plank. So pull the navel up toward the spine, knit the rib cage in, push away from the mat with your elbows. So you want a little doming out of the back body. You don't want that belly to drop down. You want to pull the navel up so that there's a little turtle back going in your back. So notice how my back is rounded here. I think you can see it. Deep breath in and out. And then we'll come all the way back down on the knees. Good job, Mom. Coming into tabletop. And then from tabletop, you're going to take your right knee, you're going to bring it all the way forward, and then you're going to take that right foot and bring it over to the left side of the yoga mat. So you're coming into pigeon here from tabletop. Take a moment to get situated, and of course, that left hip or that right hip, you're going to want to watch that, right? So you might want to take your blanket. It doesn't even have to be that thick. Maybe you just need a little bit of a hike there just to help square through the hips. And just give yourself a little bit of support. So that right foot is flexed, and then you're gonna have to turn behind you. Make sure that that left foot is straight. So notice if the toes are pointing inward, toward the right side of the yoga mat. Make sure the toes are nice and straight. And then eventually coming down. Of course, this is always a good place to have some support underneath you. So even if you just have a blanket there that you can kind of rest on, drop your head maybe onto one side, or maybe you're resting kind of on your chin and stacking your fists underneath your forehead. Just get comfortable here where you can sit here for a few moments. Remember to keep the breath, right? Nice and even, but you're breathing deep. And we practiced a little when we were together, breathing into the part of the body that you're stretching. So this is the right side. So as you inhale, try to breathe down into that right hip. Might take you a few rounds just to kind of get the feel of it. But if you keep breathing deeply and kind of sending that pressure, that breath energy to the right hip downward and over to the right, you'll notice that the muscles around the hip will start to relax and maybe even stretch a little more for you. Can you feel that, Eric, if you breathe down into your hip?
Oh, yeah.
So you'll be in this pigeon for 3 minutes as you are in most of these poses. But remember, you can always stop the video if you want to take an extra minute. And I encourage you to do that if you feel like it's a good day for you. Just stop the video, take an extra minute, even 2 minutes in any of these poses to kind of get more benefit. You start to roll up. Believe it or not, that was 3 minutes on that right side. So we're going to take our hands, we're going to press them into the yoga mat, curl the back toes, push up like we're going into a plank, and then just slowly come back into tabletop. So once you get into tabletop, depending on how the wrists are feeling, you can stay on the hands or you can drop down onto the elbows, bringing the hands together. Elbows are underneath your shoulders, and you're just going to draw some circles with that right knee one way and then the other. Sweet. And then we'll come back to tabletop. So back on all fours, we're going to slide the left knee forward, and then we're just going to send that left foot all the way over to the right. So take a moment to kind of figure that out. You might need to stuff a blanket perhaps underneath that left hip if it's tight. Look back at your right foot and make sure that it's nice and straight, right? So there's alignment between your hip, your knee, and your foot, and the foot is pointed toward the back of the room. And then when you're ready, just coming down onto the elbows perhaps, or all the way down if that feels good. We're losing light in here, babe. Getting dimmer. Hope you can see. Maybe if I turn the camera. You stay there, Mom. Stay in your pigeon. Yeah, but see, look, got brighter when. There we go. Oops. Forgot to flip it again. It's going to be approximately 3 minutes on a lot of these. Remember that left foot is flexed, right? So notice if you're pointing the toes on the left side, flex through the foot. And you're going to slowly come back up. So remember, hands on the mat, curl the back toes. You're going to push up like you're coming into a plank and release that left leg. And in your tabletop or down on your elbows with the hands together, elbows stacked underneath the shoulders, you're just going to take some circles one way with that left knee. And then go in the opposite direction. Awesome. And then we'll come all the way back onto the booty. So in cross-legged. Sitting up nice and tall. So you can pop a blanket underneath you to lift your hips up a little higher than your knees if that feels good. And especially if it helps you sit up nice and tall. So tall, tall, tall spine here. And then we're going to take our hands, we're going to bring them out in front, kind of like palms facing forward. And then we'll take our right hand, wrap our fingers around our left fingers and start to draw those left fingers back toward your body. Keep the shoulders relaxed because they'll want to creep up here. So nice relaxed shoulders, little stretch for your wrist. Of course, every day is different for you. So, you want to be mindful if there's like any arthritic pain there that you're not overdoing it. And then we're just going to flip to the other side. So right palm facing front of the room. Take the left fingers, draw the right fingers back. Shoulders are down. And then we'll bring our left thumb into our right palm, wrap the left fingers around the top of the right hand, and then we'll just use those left fingers to gently draw our right fingers back toward our body. So stretches in the forearm here now. Left thumb is pushing into the right palm, right in the center of the hand. Breathe, breathe. And then just do that on the other side. So wrapping right fingers around the top of the left hand, pressing the right thumb into the left palm, relaxing through the shoulders. We draw the left fingers toward the body. Sweet. And then we'll just shake it out. Can, do a little. You do that, Eric?
One hand clapping.
One hand clapping. Move those fingers around. And then we're going to take our hands and swim them all the way behind us, knitting the fingers together. So I'm just going to come on the side here so you can see. Knitting the fingers together behind us, sitting up nice and tall. So heart lifts up and we start to pull those shoulder blades together. So open up through the shoulders first, then pinch the shoulder blades together. And your hands can stay squared so you have a little bit of space. And you can kind of judge how you feel today. So if this feels super tight, your pecs are just tight because of whatever you've been doing all day yesterday or maybe all day today, you can just kind of stay here. If you feel like you can go further, just drawing the hands away from the back body. Knee or elbows can be bent, right? So you can be like so. And the heart is lifting, sitting up nice and tall. You've got this. You've got this, Eric. All right. And then we're gently going to release.
I got sunshine.
And he's got sunshine. We're going to take the hands and send them out. And we're going to bring the right elbow on top of the left elbow. Bring the hands up and then bring the palms together or backs of the hands together. You can even hook the pinkies, whatever works. So backs of the hands together, palms together if you can get there. We're going to start to lift the elbows. Trying to get a shot here where you can see. Start to lift the elbows up toward eye level. So where you can lift them up to where you can keep the shoulders relaxed, right? If the shoulders start to creep up, then lower the elbows down, but find that sweet spot and then pull the hands away from your body. So you should feel a deep stretch to the thoracic area of the back, so the mid back. I know this is a good one for Eric. He's always got mid back issues, right?
It just gets tight.
Just gets tight. And then we're just going to gently unwind and go the opposite way. So this time it's left elbow on top of right elbow. Come into this cross first, bring the hands up, and then maybe we flip palm to palm, backs of the hand to backs of the hand. We start to lift the elbows up, close to eye level, pull the hands away from the back body. Shoulders are relaxed, sitting up nice and tall. Gently unwind. All right, so going on to the back. How you doing, Munchkin?
All right.
All right, onto the back, grabbing our strap.
Oh,
Sorry about the lighting. Just
fine.
like nothing we can do about it. It just keeps kind of going in and out. Okay, coming onto the back. Feet are on the mat, knees are bent. You're going to take your strap and you're going to bring it to the arch of your right foot. You're just going to bring the strap together. So depending on how tight your hamstrings are today, you can either keep that left foot on the mat with the knee bent, and you're just going to start to gently draw the right foot down toward your head. Or if you want it a bit more intense and challenging, you can extend that left leg all the way down as you start to draw the right foot toward your head. So this is a great stretch for your hamstrings, something you can do on your own. Independent of this video, you can just run through some of these stretches in your bedroom at night. But also you can do the same thing for the hamstrings in a standing forward fold. So if you were just standing on the mat, feet are hip width apart and you're folding forward, make sure there's a slight bend in the knee as there should be here, and dropping the head down. It's the same kind of stretch. So you can do it reclined here for something a bit more restorative, or you can do a standing forward fold. So maybe you're just like, okay, I've had enough of this yoga video. But before you check out, you don't want to run through these last bits with the strap. Before you check out, maybe just do a standing forward fold. Otherwise, we're going to keep pulling that right foot down toward our head. Breathing nice and deep. Let that hamstring unwind. Left leg is firmly rooted onto the yoga mat or left foot. And then we're going to drop drop the right leg all the way down to the right. So just opening up through that right hip. So we're just dropping it and opening up wide here. Deep stretch for the groin. So again, right, another option rather than doing this on your back with a strap is that you could do a seated wide-legged forward fold and basically get the same bang for your buck. So you just spread the legs nice and wide, point the toes toward the ceiling, and then just gently start to fold forward, only going as far as it feels good. Tuck the chin in if you're doing that. So just another option, just to kind of vary it up. Maybe some days you didn't get your strap, so you can do that instead. So standing forward fold, then come back down on your mat, seated wide-legged forward fold. And then we're just going to take that right leg, come all the way through center, take it over to the left. So this is going to be deep into the IT band. You want to keep that right hip down on the yoga mat. So you don't want that right hip coming off the yoga mat. So even if your leg goes high, right, as long as both hips are on the mat, you're going to really get the IT band stretch. If you start to roll over to the left, lifting that right hip off the mat, it will not, you'll get a twist, but you won't get an IT stretch, an IT band stretch. And you, mom, need that. It's just breathing it out here. And we're going to end on a twist. So when we do that twist, I'll show you an alternative for getting an IT band stretch and a twist. So basically you could do all three of these strap exercises in different ways if you don't want to deal with the strap. Or just to vary it up. I mean, because variety is a good thing. All right, back to center, bend your right knee, unhook the strap. You take a moment just to draw some circles with that right knee. One way should feel really nice, and then the other. Awesome. And then we're going to work this baby on the other side. So right foot down on the mat at first, just to brace you. We're just going to hook the strap onto the arch of the left foot. Right leg is either up or down. And then when you're ready, start to draw that left foot down toward your head, but really you're trying to go for the center of the mat there. So you don't want it to be over to the side or over to this side. You're going to try to come right through the midline here. Breathing nice and deep. Again, there should be a slight bend in the left knee. So don't work to straighten through that left knee and hyperextend. Guy over there.
Yeah, I hear you.
My little hyperextension miracle over there.
Hyper something.
You are hyper something. Hyperbolic. And then we're just going to start to slowly let the left leg drop left. So keeping that right hip, both hip bones on the mat, your booty on the mat. And just drop that left leg left. So we're just opening up through the left hip. This can be hard to hold, especially if your hands are feeling a bit not so great. So you can always just use your left hand here just to kind of prop your leg up a bit um, in this so that you're not having to grip the strap so intensely. I don't know if gripping is, maybe it's good for you to grip with arthritis. Maybe it's kind of like squeezing one of those balls. But if it hurts, you can always just kind of use your left hand underneath your left leg just to kind of support it there. Because that is kind of hard to hold up, even for me. It's hard to hold up, Eric.
Yeah.
Oh. Mr. Perfect.
I like this move.
He likes this move. All right, so we're gonna come all the way through center. Notice that I'm not letting my left hip roll off the yoga mat. So I'm not going that far over to the left, or sorry, to the right. So left leg goes right, crosses over and goes right. Left hip stays rooted on the mat. So we don't want to peel up off the yoga mat. Then we're gently come back to center. We unhook the strap. Take a moment just to draw a couple circles one way with the left knee. Move that hip around. And then in the other direction. Awesome. And then we're going to take both knees in toward the heart. We're going to wrap our arms around our knees and rock a couple times side to side, pulling the navel down toward the mat so the low back is flush. Find a little scooping of the tailbone up. Doing great, Mom. Maybe put one hand on one knee, one hand on the other with the knees together. You're just going to do some circles one way. A little mobility for the lumbar area. Again, keeping the low back flush with the yoga mat, right? So you don't want to peel up and have a gap between your back and the mat. Opposite direction. Should feel really good on the tailbone, especially as you go past the sacrum there. It's always a good place to rock into a place that's sore, right? It's nice myofascial stretch here. And then we're going to send, knees are at the heart. We're going to send the arms wide or into cactus arms so you can bend at the elbow either way. And we're going to take those knees and we're going to drop them all the way over to the left, send the gaze over to the right. So you're here in a twist and you can stay here, or you can take your left foot and bring it on top of your right outside edge of your right knee. So that's how you're going to get an IT stretch in a twist, right? So you either have your knees stacked, one on top of the other, you're looking in toward the right, or you bring that left foot on top of the right knee and really start to drag it down. Now, if you're doing this, you're going to want to make sure both shoulders are on the yoga mat. So if doing this causes that right shoulder to lift up, then unhook and keep knee on top of knee. Because the shoulders, in order for you to get the benefit of the stretch in the spine, right, you're going to want to keep those shoulders dead on the mat. Breathing nice and deep, so good for the digestion, right? If we breathe nice and deep in this twist. And then we'll unhook if our left leg is on top. Bring both knees back to center, and then the knees are going to go over to the right, gaze to the left. You can kind of see how this feels. Make sure that left shoulder's on the mat. And if that feels okay, maybe you take the right foot and bring it on top of the left leg just to help draw that left knee down a little if you've got the space to do it. If not, no worries, just stay knees stacked on knee. And then we'll unhook. Bring the knees in toward the heart. Grab onto the inside arches of your feet. Open the legs nice and wide here. Bent at the knees. Bend the elbows. Scoop the tailbone up toward the ceiling. So find that scooping of the tailbone up and rock side to side, perhaps in your little happy baby. We're going to end on a happy baby. Eric, do your baby for my mom.
Goo goo gaga.
Gets me every time. All right. And then we'll come all the way up to seated. Thank you so much for coming to this Zoom yoga, especially for you. Mom, we love you so much. Dad, we love you too. Namaste.
Namaste.
Namaste. I hope that was recording. Wouldn't that be fun if it wasn't? No, it is. Bye, Mom. Love you.